Good morning. This is the Blaine's World webcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You get more information, listen to previous shows at our website, which is behind me, blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, we focus on positive news and information that people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And for that end, it's my pleasure to introduce um, tonight, Brian Hall, Executive Director of Eblen Charities. And Brian, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching you. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, and thanks, Brian, for joining us. I should mention that Brian, some people may know him or have seen him over the years, but he's been on the Eblen Board of Directors for a bunch of years. Well known in Western North Carolina for his longtime work with iHeartRadio Asheville, as well as a sportcaster for local athletics. Most recently, he was one of the voices of Asheville when his radio station became one of the sources of information and human contact in days following the hurricane. Association with Eblen began over 20 years ago. What, you were like seven then? You were like the youngest person with Eblen at the time?
Yeah. I was just a kid helping out on Saturday mornings. That's what after the cartoons were over.
Okay, so he was asked by Joe Eblen to help with the project and has been involved ever since. He's honored to be at the helm of such an outstanding organization. We were talking, Brian, that when you were a kid, so you grew up as a kid where? In the Asheville area?
No, I grew up in Greensboro, Blaine, and in the middle part of the state in the Triad, and then went to college at NC State. So go Wolfpack, and in Raleigh, I was there for 12 years. Not all 12 years in school. It only took four and a half,
Okay.
thankfully, to get out alive. But that's where I met my beautiful wife, girlfriend at that time, and then moved up to the mountains in '95 and to follow her. And she's a mountain girl from Yancey County, Mary Elizabeth Banks. So it's we've been up here ever since, and it's been wonderful. And it's been a whole new world for me now in the nonprofit world versus the corporate world of radio. But certainly proud of the work in the broadcasting business, and proud of the family that is still operating over there at iHeart.
And so when you were a kid growing up in North Carolina, did you, I guess, know at that time, did you decide you wanted to be in broadcasting? Was that your goal?
I leaned toward it because as an only child, you talk to yourself a lot as a kid. So
I still do. Yeah.
that's right. And I would I'd sit around, I'd do impressions, and I would take a tape recorder. I don't know if anybody remembers those from back in the day, but I would sit there and actually play music in the background with my record player, and then I'd act like the DJ coming on before the next song. And when I got to NC State, my fraternity was WKNC, which is the student radio station on the
Right. Yeah.
campus, and that's where I started. And that's where I got to meet a lot of rock musicians back in the '80s, which was a great time to be in the rock and roll radio business. And then also got started in sportscasting too. And that's where I was broadcasting the play-by-play for Coach Kay Yow and her NC State Wolfpack women's team. And she was a legend and still is to this day. She passed away several years ago, like Jim Valvano, but the cancer fight continues. And she was just the epitome of someone that you really want to be blessed that you were around, and someone you can strive to live your life like. And so she provided an avenue that I was able to travel with the team, go all over the country. I'm just a college kid, and I was loving it. And I got hooked on broadcasting and stayed in it ever since when I got out of school up until January the 1st of this year.
You remember your first paid gig as a broadcaster, the first time you got paid?
Yeah, so I'll go. Believe it or not, we did get paid a little bit of money to work at the student radio station, but my first commercial job was with a station called 94Z in Raleigh, and it was a top 40 station at the time. And at that time, radio stations were manned by a crew 24/7. So this was pre-computer days that basically everything is run on now. Back then, you had to actually show up and have a shift. And so if you were trying to break into the business, you got stuck with the weekend overnight shift, which was the worst shift in the world to be in. But you had to start somewhere. And so, yeah, I spent many late nights and early mornings at that station. And then by the time you were trying to fall asleep, and trying to keep your eyes open, it's 5 a.m. and it's time to run the public affairs show, which would definitely put you to sleep, by 5 a.m. So, it was a good time to learn about the business and to be in that aspect of the business. And at that time, as a young, dumb college kid, it was fun, and it sort of paved the way for what was to happen down the road.
Now, at the time, so you were doing the music aspect. Were you also doing sports at the same time also?
I was covering sports in the triad, or excuse me, the triangle area with State, Duke, Carolina. Yeah, so I was doing a lot of what they call stringing in
Right.
the business, where you're stringing for a network, and that means basically I would cover for ABC radio. I would go to an ACC basketball game, and then I would get audio afterwards from Coach Krzyzewski or Dean Smith or whoever what the coaches and players were, and then I would send that audio off to the networks, and then you get a paycheck, within a couple of weeks. It was a pretty good gig at the time.
And to see that basketball too is pretty good also.
And you get a great seat. I mean, you are right there on the court side, and you're getting paid, and you're seeing the best basketball in the country. So what could be better?
Yeah, and like I said, the best basketball in the country. You came up with a great era, that particular
Yeah,
time. So then
yeah.
after you graduated college, is that when you came on board with iHeart?
After I graduated college, I had as is typical in the radio business, I bounced around to a couple different stations in the Raleigh area, and then I was actually working for a network called Premier Radio Networks, and I was basically contacting radio stations to take our music libraries, our production libraries, jingles, services, shows. And so I did that job and for 7.5 years, and you could do that anywhere. And that's when I moved up here because all I needed was a computer and a fax machine, at that time. And so I was operating out of my apartment in South Asheville. And then in 2001, I was called by the general manager at the local stations at 99.9 Kiss Country and WWNC. Hey, you want to come on over and work full time for us? You can do sales, and I was doing on air with high school football, and then I started my own show, the Monday Night Sports Freaks, and that was just before the election of 2000, the Hanging Chad election of 2000. So, and then continued that show every Monday night up until December of last year.
And one of the cool things about your career is that you were able to, for the most part, seem to stay in the same area. Because one of the things about other guys in radio, I'm friendly with a lot of folks, is
Yeah,
that the big knock was you have to be going all over anytime there's an opening, you'd have to move.
right.
And so that you stayed in North Carolina all these years is pretty cool.
I got lucky in that aspect. I was not going to be a radio gypsy, and
Right.
travel all over the country and floating from gig to gig. That was not in my blood. I mean, I'm a North Carolina, kid, and I loved the Triangle. I loved the Triad growing up there, and the mountains have been. This is where I've been the most, my whole life, and so it's been, fantastic to be up here and just enjoying all of everything that the mountains have to offer. It's been great.
And what's so cool about what you're doing, you're telling me off the air, is that even though you have this new gig, which we'll talk about in just a second, but I'm so happy that you're still able to still stay with radio a little bit, or still some of the
Yeah.
sports work. So you mentioned you gave up, what you said, you gave up one gig. What was the gig you gave up? Y-
So yeah, my Monday night sports show, I gave that up. I retired from that. And high school football I've done for 25 years, and I'm still a little undecided about it, but I really I'm leaning towards retiring because that's a good run, and I would love to have Friday nights back from mid-August until late November. Because I've been out at every high school stadium around Buncombe County for all these years, and I love all the coaches. I love the people and all the good friends that I've made doing that over the years. I love my broadcast partners, Coach Danny Wilkins and Sean Crow. But at the same time, I'm just thinking that, no, I think it might be pretty cool just to lay back and to enjoy a nice full weekend in the fall.
And that's what's so, I think, amazing about your career is that you kind of getting away from the radio, but you moved into something I think equally as exciting, if not more so. And also, talk about time, I imagine it's going to keep you, not, it's going to keep you, it keeps you just a little bit busy. And talk about your new position. So you now, was the executive, is that the title, executive director
Thank you, Director. Right.
of
Yeah.
Eblen Charities? And for the
Yeah.
two people out there who don't know Eblen Charities, what's Eblen Charities all about?
Eblen Charities was founded in 1991 by Joe Eblen. He was, of course, he had Eblen Oil and Eblen Shortstop stores here in the Asheville area, and he decided that he wanted to give back to the community. And at that time, it was a very small charity, and he had some friends, Bill Murdoch, and then later Bill Waddell, who jumped on board to help, and it grew into a charity that serves the people of Western North Carolina and has, for many years, stepped up to help people when they had no other place to go. And, our mission is to keep people in their homes, to keep them healthy, safe, and warm during the winter, and to be there for them in times of crisis.
What I love about Evelyn Charities too is how you guys cut through the red tape, in terms of, and we should talk a little bit about the fact that to be helped by Evelyn Charities, it's a lot easier process than almost anywhere else, what you do. So let's talk about then the help that Evelyn Charities does. Could just spend hours just on describing all the help things you do, but mention just a couple of them if you would.
Yeah, so probably the biggest thing that we do, especially coming out of Helene, Blaine, is the rent and mortgage assistance. And there's such a huge need in this area post Helene. There was need before, and it was out there. There was a lot of need then, but it just got exasperated by the storm. And so we have three full-time or three caseworkers here, so that we can cover a full schedule throughout the week. And we have appointments that are set on our website, and they come in and bring the documentation that we need. And then after talking with the caseworker and the landlord, then we get a check cut for them within about 48 hours or less. And so we got backed up back in December. Post-Helene, we had people applying online. It got crazy. We had fraud. We had all kinds of different things happening, and we had to get out from underneath this mountain of applications, get these people the help that they needed, and then at the same time go back to what we were doing with in-person meetings. And it used to be that you would just line up outside the building. We don't want that, and so now we're just using the internet and our website. And people make an appointment, and we call them, make sure they have all the documentation. So it's a quick, seamless process by the time they come in here and talk with us. So it's rent, it's mortgage. In addition to that, we do gas vouchers for people that are trying to get to medical appointments or job interviews. We do medical assistance. We do eyeglasses with vouchers for people that need new glasses. And then we partner with Stanton Optical out in Patton Avenue for that as well. And then we have a lot of different, we'll help out with funeral assistance. We have different companies that use us for employee assistance. Biltmore Estate does, along with Wicked Weed Brewing and some other organizations. So we're able to step in and help in those times where they might have employees that are going through tough times. And then at the same time, we have programs that with our outreach that are so impactful in the community. We just finished this past Saturday our Prom Dress Express, but it's a 2-day event, and so the day two is coming up tomorrow on Wednesday, April the 2nd, and that's from noon to 4, and it is for young men and women, of course, to come by, check out the brand new tuxes, the brand new prom dresses that we have, and they can walk out of here and it's theirs. They're not renting it. It's a great service, and the community has come to love that. And we had a great donation from a company down in Hillsboro, a formal wear outlet down there that said we want to help out post-Helene, shipped almost 400 dresses and tuxes our way. So
Really?
that's been great.
So if people want to participate, and we're going to try to put this up so they can see it by tonight or by tomorrow too. the second day. So it's going to
Yeah.
take place where and when and what actually happens at the event.
It's in our warehouse right here, 23 Hamilton Street, and we are just below Mission Hospital on Hamilton Street. And they can come by the warehouse. There's no appointment needed. Just come on in and shop. We've got, I mean, it looks like the prom out in the warehouse right now, Blaine. We got the bling all over the place. It's decorated by the volunteers. We've got jewelry, we've got accessories, we got some shoes, and we got, the coats for the guys, the tuxes, and we got dresses for the ladies, tiaras, you name it. I couldn't wear a tiara on this bald head, but it would look funky. But we got them for all the ladies, and it's a lot of fun to be able to have them come in and shop and to really feel good about this. And during post Helene, it's one less thing that the families have to worry about, as an expense, because we're talking $100 or more to rent a tux to go to the prom. So this is a great event to alleviate that. And then we're going to have a coat collection drive coming up with WLOS. We have great partnership with WLOS TV and also with iHeartRadio that we're going to continue, of course. And the coat drive is going to be at Carolina Furniture Concepts in Arden on Friday, April 25th. So we're getting through the winter. And, we ask for all those good, gently used coats. They're still in great shape. We'll collect them and we'll give them back out in the fall, for next winter from our warehouse here.
If I
But we
can,
also,
yeah, let me just jump in.
go ahead.
Back up.
Yeah.
You said so it was incredible. You were saying so the tuxedos, they come and get tuxedos and gowns, and they don't return them, or they do return
Yeah,
them.
it's theirs.
So I mean that's pretty cool. I don't know about you. I think I own one tuxedo in my life, And so for a kid
Yeah.
17 years old, 18 years old to have a tuxedo is pretty cool. And
Yeah.
the women get to keep the gowns as well.
Yep. Sure do.
That's pretty exciting stuff. And so where do you get the tux? You mentioned the one person helped with the tuxedos, the gowns. Where do you get the gowns from?
Yeah, most of that came in from the formal wear outlet, but we do have some that were donated and that were, gently used, still in great condition. So we do have some as well, that have been used before. But again, they've got to be in really good condition, to go out the second time.
Now, equally exciting, you were mentioning the other things you do, but I know you do sort of a similar kind of thing. And if you describe what that is around Christmas time, what you do,
Mhm.
it just blows me away. You actually have a whole retail store, a
Yeah.
shop, and
Yeah.
people, which is describe what happens. They actually come in and shop themselves, and it's all the kids don't know about it, or how do you do that?
Yes. So, thinking about going through the years, I mean, on the calendar, we do a Tools for Schools in August, which is the same theory that and follows the same blueprint that we do for Christmas. But we collect all the school supplies. We have a big drive with iHeartRadio and with WLOS and Ingalls. And so we love all that triangle of partnerships that we have. And so they come in, we get the supplies, we get the toys during the drive at Christmas. And again, using the warehouse here, it turns into a great shopping area and a shopping experience that the parents and kids, now they can bring the kids in, obviously get the school supplies, and they just go around and pick out, it might be a backpack or notebooks or, some prepackaged healthy snacks or markers. They get all that kind of stuff. When it comes to Christmas, we have everything situated so that the parents can come in and they get a big toy and then two smaller toys and then like a stocking stuffer on top of that. So you might have a bike, or then you get the two smaller ones, and it's a great way to help our clients, and it also is adds some dignity to it, so that it's not like I'm just taking a sack full of toys that were donated. I don't know what it is, but here, just take it, and now you get to come in and just customize it for your family. You know what your child likes, and it just makes it a better experience overall.
Well, the exciting thing about it also, right, is that a lot of times the kids aren't there with the parents at the time, and then they get surprised on Christmas. Is that what typically happens?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the parents can
So you
leave,
want to surprise them with something that they'll like,
right?
and not something that's like, a Barbie doll for a 14-year-old boy. I mean, it's just, it's not going to work. So,
No, but what's very exciting the way you do it is oftentimes, right, the parents can leave the kids at home, or they're told to leave the kids at home, so they don't know what they're getting. It's kind of a
yeah.
surprise. The
Yeah.
to do all this, Bill, that's quite an endeavor. I assume you operate with lots of volunteers to help out on this.
Lots of volunteers, and we couldn't do it without them. And so it's we have a staple of volunteers that come in throughout the week that help keep the warehouse organized and ready for the next event, and accepting donations depending on the time of year. And then they're always here for our events, and we really love our volunteers because the Lord knows we could not do it without them.
And so talk about then the volunteering process. If somebody's listening and would like to get involved, and one of the nice things I like about that too is they can kind of pick and choose. So, they don't have to do everything. They can do specific events,
Yep.
especially come Christmas or Thanksgiving, whatever. How do they go about volunteering?
They can just, the easiest thing is go to our website at eblencharities.org, EBLEN charities.org, and then you'll see some information about volunteering on there, and you can contact us, or you can just stop by and say hello to us here at 23 Hamilton Street, up at the front desk, and then we'll get your information. And we have Jennifer's our volunteer coordinator. She will get in contact with you, or Kathy might as well. Kathy Soul is our developmental coordinator and helps out with the volunteers and the events. And we'll make sure, believe me, we'll make sure we'll find a spot. You want to come by and help? We've got something for you to do.
And so it seems like too, you can almost like pick and choose when you want to work.
Mhm.
Some people can't run all seasons, so you can just run one event or like
Yeah,
that, pick and
yeah,
choose. How about
sure.
an idea I've heard? I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but it would seem to me this would be a great opportunity for somebody to have like a party of their own instead of having a party for themselves. Come, I don't know if you do this at all, come to Evelyn and help at Christmas time and give out the gifts and signing up other people. Do any people come as gifts, as groups or birthday parties or?
Yeah, yeah. So one of the biggest groups just walks down the hill from Mission. And so the hospital and the nurses have come down to really help out at Christmas time over the years. And so that's been, really good to have them just to stroll in and help us make sure we're coordinating with the families and getting the gifts out. And we've had other organizations in town that have done that as well. And it's a nice outreach from a corporate perspective to say, hey, we want to make sure that we come out and support Eblen on the days of doing the back to school with the tools for schools, or it might be at Christmas time. And then one of the other things we do, not here at the warehouse, Blaine, is that we at Thanksgiving we supply hundreds and hundreds of families with the full turkey dinner. They get the turkey and all the sides, courtesy of Ingles, and we sign people up, and then we do the distribution over at the Ingles off of Hendersonville Road near Biltmore Forest, and people come in and they just drive right through. And Pratt and Whitney usually sends out a lot of good volunteers. Also, Alan Tate, Beverly Hanks Real Estate, and so they're able to come through and they get the full meal. And this is done the day before Thanksgiving. It's a great way to help people out and go in your long weekend feeling good about what you're doing to make sure that other people are having a great holiday too.
Listen to this, Brian. I'm almost losing my breath talking about all this stuff because it seems like there's no downtime. It seems like you name a holiday, it's almost the case. And you have something going on during that holiday. Is that sort of the case?
We try to give the staff the week in between Christmas and New Year's off,
Okay.
just to rest and recharge and be with family. This past year was a little different because of the storm and the just the influx of people that were still needing assistance, with rental assistance. And so this year, though, it should be calmer so that we can make sure that everybody has a little downtime around the holidays to enjoy that. But no, you're right. Throughout the year, we always have a lot going on every day. And in addition to these big events that we plan around, and another event is the Wicked Weed Brad Johnson Celebrity Golf Classic. That's in July, and we do that at the Cliffs at Walnut Cove. And it's a big fundraiser. We do a party the night before. It's called Football in July, and it's a big fundraiser for us. And between the great supporters that we have that come out and play golf, and between Brad Johnson, who is, if you don't know who he is, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He grew up here. He went to Owen High School. He's a good friend of mine, and I just he always wants to give back to the community, and so he's always supported Eblen over the years. So it's great to have him as our rock, for that golf tournament, and that tournament's very important as far as the fundraiser goes and the amount of dollars that it generates for us.
And when does that tournament take place?
July 14th and 15th this year out at the Cliffs at Walnut Cove. And you can also, if you want to play, it's now live on the website to sign up at eblencharities.org, and you can sign up to play or sponsor as well in the golf tournament.
And you should mention that as you just did. So if people don't play golf or don't want to play golf that day, you're still welcome to come in and participate as a sponsor to what
Yeah.
a hole, or they do different kinds of ways to
Yeah,
sponsor.
they can sponsor a hole, or they could sponsor a team. If they don't want to play, they can find some other guys to play, or ladies to play for them. And so that's we can easily make accommodations to if people want to just come out and hang out, and support a fun day out in the course. And the Cliffs at Walnut Cove, they're great to work with. They only have 3 tournaments a year out there at that location, and we're one of them. And so we appreciate the longtime partnership with them, and they're fantastic. It's a great course. It's a hard course, but it's always a great day of golf, and I look forward to it. It's always one of the highlights of the year.
Is there typically how many teams, how many players golf at the event?
We usually end up with about, I would say, 23, 24 foursomes. So, there's 18 holes. You can do the math. There's going to be some holes that will have a couple of teams starting off on it. But that's generally about where we end up.
Is there a meal function as well?
Oh, believe me. Have you ever had shrimp and grits while playing golf? Uh, uh, the answer is probably no, but
No.
at this tournament, they go all out. And there are some, of course, there's beer out there from Wicked Weed, and the food is done by the Cliffs, and it might range from sandwiches, if you want to go something with a grab and go there. But surprisingly, shrimp and grits. I never thought I would eat it while in a golf cart, but it's a nice little grab and go, and you got a little carton, and you put they put the grits in, the shrimp, bang bang, let's go. I'm off to the next tee, to tee off. So no, it's a great time, and lots of great food.
So you've been with Eblen, I guess, since January 1st you started, beginning of the new year,
Yes.
as the executive director. What do you see happening, let's say down the road? Are there any things you want to see Eblen move into or advance to?
I think that one of the things that's been new for us this after the storm hit is, I guess you could call it an outreach that Eblen has done into the community for the recovery from the storm. And that hasn't been the norm. A lot of times we serve the community obviously with our programs that we have here, but because we were one of the charities that were chosen for the concert for Carolinas that took place at the Bank of America Stadium, that was Luke Combs and Eric Church and James Taylor and Billy String, so many great artists that night. We were blessed to be one of 4 charities that were chosen to receive funds from that concert. So it's allowed us to obviously fund our operation, but to look for other boots on the ground organizations that are out there helping everybody get back on their feet, helping with the rebuild from the storm. And so we have supported various organizations like Regroup WNC out in Swannanoa. They're helping to get houses back up in Beacon Village. I live in Black Mountain. I drive through Swannanoa every day. I've seen that devastation day in, day out, and it's heartbreaking. And to be able to help with, different organizations and groups that are affected, it means the world. And so there's been we've helped pay for the plumbing, the electrical in Beacon Village on 3 homes. We've helped with the Alan Campos trailer park over across the river, which is mainly Latino community. I was there to celebration this past Saturday on the opening of some new homes. We helped to provide furniture and partnering with Tyson's Furniture and St. James Episcopal. And it was great to see these new homes. It was a great atmosphere of a new beginning. Beloved Asheville is doing a lot of great work out there as well and helping restore some homes. And now I've been able to this week go Thursday. I'll be going over to Madison County to help present a check with the Community Housing Coalition of Madison County to help people get back into their houses, into their homes, paying for projects, paying for repairs to get done, paying for roads to be repaired so that everybody can get back to their houses. There's a lot of need over there that hasn't been addressed. And Buncombe County, we know, gets a lot of the spotlight, but Madison County, there's not a lot of nonprofits over there, and obviously in Marshall and Hot Springs, they were devastated by the storm next to the French Broad River. So it's good for us to go out there and help them as well. And you said you're in downtown Fairview. We were out at Craigtown, last week with the Craig family and helping to pay for landscaping to be redone up on their property and sort of get a little bit of healing started over there, where of course 11, actually I think the count's up to 13 of people that lost their lives, on September 27th through the landslide that came down through Craigtown. So, being able to help Brian Craig, who I've known for years, he's a football coach at Reynolds. He said, I just want this paved, graded, get the bank shored up along the creek, just make it the seed down, make it look good, make it look like a peaceful meadow with a memorial, and then no structures, rebuilt on there. So that's what he wants. That's what we're going to do. And, we're here to help fill the gaps and to help people. And that's been a blessing. That's been exciting. And that's been a new area, for Eblen.
And I think that's how I see Evelyn, as you mentioned, in terms of filling in the gaps, because you're providing services, Brian, which I think is great, that nobody else is providing. Like all these little things, like I said, dental, whatever it is, nobody knows how to get help in that or where to go. So one of the things I've always loved about Evelyn is call Evelyn, and somehow, I don't know how you guys do it, but you'll find a way to help out people, and
Yeah.
you do that. The only thing I'm missing, and I'm looking around in your office there, I don't see your roller skates there though, because, boy, you're talking when you did high school football, you go to one area a week or something, but here you go to like all over Buncombe County and elsewhere too. You're getting around though, right?
Yeah, yeah, and you won't see roller skates because I would bust my ass, and I don't want that to happen. So, I was never a good roller skater back when I was a kid, Blaine, but it's fun, doing all this work and to be able to help the community the way any way we can. Here's a quick example. I had a phone call from a gentleman who works the Biltmore Estate part-time. His parents' house in Weaverville burned down. And they got out of there with, basically the clothes on their back, and they were up the street in the hospital, spent the night, had smoke inhalation, some minor burns. But he called, he said, everybody said at Biltmore, call Evelyn. So I'm just asking for help. And I said, okay, come down tomorrow morning, let's talk and see what we can do. So we were able to help get some clothes because we had a women's clothing event of nice brand new designer clothes from the Cappy company, which donated about 3,000 pieces of women's clothing. And we had some left over. So the ladies of the family were able to get some new clothes that were back in our warehouse. We had Goodwill vouchers that we could hook them up with to go get some basic supplies and clothes and things that they might need in the meantime. And then on top of that, I have a great connection from a colleague at the Red Cross. Red Cross stepped in to get them some funds. That's what they do in a fires kind of situation. And so, I don't think that this particular family was going to need it, but we would be there as well if they were going to be looking to get into a new place, a new rental that they might not have the income right now, but they needed to get a deposit down in the first month's rent, taken care of. That's where we step in and do that as well. So
And I think what you just gave was great advice, because I was going to ask you off the air about a friend of mine who needs help. And what you just said, I think was the key, is if you need help, give you guys a call. You
yeah,
can't guarantee you'll be able to help them, but you'll certainly try. But again, I've never seen an organization has so many different ways to help people. Aside
Yeah.
from financially, you can help them with clothes, you can help them with other stuff. Whatever you're doing, Brian, I want to thank you because you guys are doing a great job. So I think that's great. To just recap again, one more time, let's talk about a couple upcoming dates. You said tomorrow. I want to try to put this up before tomorrow. What's happening again?
It's the Prom Dress Express, and it's the day two. There's still a great selection. So come on by 23 Hamilton Streets in the warehouse and just feel free to shop from 12 to 4 during the afternoon. And you will see a great selection of ladies' gowns and tuxes for the guys and all the accessories that go with it. So that's happening tomorrow,
And then
Wednesday, April 2nd.
the golf tournament's coming up as well.
July 14th and 15th, golf tournament. If you got those coats that are lying around, this winter that are in great shape, April the 25th on that Friday, we'll be going to collecting those at the Carolina Furniture Concepts in Arden. And so those are some immediate dates coming up.
And the best thing, if people want to find out more about Eblen Charities, upcoming events, volunteering, all this good stuff, best thing is go to the website was what again?
Eblen Charities, yeah, eblencharities.org. Again, EBLEN charities.org. Or check us out on Facebook as well. We're always posting about our events and things that our community partners are up to.
Anyway, I'd like to thank you, Brian Hall, for being my guest on this edition of the Blaine's World webcast. I'd also like to thank my producer, Cappy Dissetti, and hopefully we'll actually bump into each other in person at some point in time, man. Thanks.
I love it, Blaine. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.